Reducing your costs allows you to benefit in many different ways. The first is when you have a reduced cost of living. It's much easier to retire. This is because if your average expenses are $2,500 per month as opposed to $5,000 a month, then it's far easier to retire. You only need half the amount of assets to retire to derive $2,500 per month as opposed to the assets needed to derive $5,000 per month. Allows you to save more. The other thing is it allows you to save more. For example, if you're earning $6,000 after tax, and your expenses are $5,000 a month, this means you can only save about $1,000 a month, while if your expenses are only $2,500 per month, that will allow you to save $3,500 per month. If you invest this, you will earn a lot more in the long run. If you think about it, you will be almost saving 4 times the amount by reducing your costs by $2,500. It sounds like it's hard to do, but it's not that hard to do. Learn more about personal finance by downloading this free resource. Download here. Save for a rainy day. The concept of saving is the idea of saving for a rainy day. It's the concept of planting a tree today that will provide you shade for the next 20 years and so on. This is a very important concept and it will pay dividends. The value of something today is going to be far less than the value of something 20 years down the road. For example, a simple idea is if you buy a $5 cappuccino every day, for 20 days a month, that's $100 a day. That's $1,200 per year. If you took that $1,200 per year instead and invested it over 20 years, you would have quite a significant sum. It's not just the sum of 20 times $1,200, which would be $24,000, it is far greater than that. It's also all the income accrued during that period, which probably wouldn't amount to another $50,000. This is almost $100,000, just by having a coffee every day. Compounding interest and investing. Compounding interest is an important thing, and investing for the future is critical. That's why reducing your costs today will save you big time and cost tomorrow. Yes, we all think, well, one coffee is not going to change everything. But imagine you keep doing that coffee and you buy that gum and you buy that chocolate bar and you get that fast food. All of these things add up. And all of these things make you become broke and hurt your financial future. These are the things you need to work on. Get a copy of our free book on personal finance, found here. Reduce your living costs. Hence, by reducing your costs, you will gain a great advantage. Now, one of the best ways to reduce costs is actually to go and live in a different country. Let's very quickly compare 2 countries. So we use, if you look at the average living costs in the US for family size, believe it or not, it's about 2.5 individuals. Of course, some families are 8 people and some families are simple single unit families. When we average it all out, and you get about 2.5 people, with the average living being about $5,000. Now imagine that the average family was to live in Indonesia. Instead, their costs would drop to $1,400. This is from $5,000 to $1,400. That's a dramatic drop. You can see that's a saving of about $3,600. It's basically about spending 25%, hence you're saving about 75% of your living costs, which is a significant saving. How to save, free training. Developing countries. If we were to take another country, let's say you went to the Philippines, which is very well known for its love of basketball. This cost is very similar to Indonesia. You're looking at it once again, reducing your cost, in this case, $5,000 dropping $1,500, hence saving $3,500, that's a 70% discount. Now also what's very interesting is when you live in these countries, if you take $500 a month, and you spend that, you can do that quite often for a fraction of the cost that you would do in the United States. Or for example, generally in the United States, you might spend $150 to $200 for a cleaner for one day. The same quality cleaner in developing countries can be $10 to $20. You're saving about 90% of that costs. Think about it. Let's say you're able to save $1,000 per month in the United States. Improved quality of life. Well, if you hire one cleaner for one day, let's say you want to clean your house once a month. That's going to take about 20% of your savings after taxes and after expenses. Well, if you have the same income, you now have a lot more money because you're saving the $3,500 plus the initial $1,000. Now you have $4,500 after taxes and expenses. If you're going to spend $15, it's a small fraction of your cost. It is not even 1%, it's 0.33% of your overall savings. You can see the difference between 20% of your after-tax after expenses savings or 0.33%. Great improvement. That's why living in another country goes far better, and it does so for two reasons. The first is, of course, you're saving a lot of money. The second thing is, believe it or not, your quality of life is far better. You can have a cook 3 times a week. If you were to hire a cook to come in and clean, or let's say a cook or clean or come in every single day for every month, you would spend about $500 to $600, you would still be way better off than you are in the United States. Adding that expense in, you are still at $2,000 costs. You're still saving $3,000 net. It's not really necessary to have a clean or cook 30 days a month, but you can do so whether you want it twice a week, once a week, 4 times a week, whatever you want, it becomes affordable. If you were to hire a cleaner in the United States for a month, you simply wouldn't be able to afford it. You have $1,000 savings that would be eaten up in about 1 week. Lifestyle and retirement. Your lifestyle is going to be far better. You're going to live twice as good a life lifestyle-wise, if not 3-4 times better. And you're going to be able to save far more. And if you want to travel, it's going to be that much easier. It's going to be that much less costly. It's a win-win situation. Now the only key is, how can you transfer your current job and the salary of your current job to another country? Now on top of that, if you're able to get tax savings, then that even greatly improves the overall situation. Imagine on top of this, you're saving now $3,000 a month, but now imagine the net differential and tax. So there are certain places you can go to where your tax rate could drop by 50%, or it could drop by 75%. Or you might even be in a country with a tax-free holiday. Your tax rate could drop 100%. The tax is very complex, and it's important to factor this in. Your tax rate might drop significantly. Now you have to check if you have a tax treaty with the country you're living in and what the tax rules are. Make sure that you know what you're doing and that you're getting in touch with a lawyer and a tax advisor. Because if you are earning money in another country, you have to make sure you're not setting yourself up for tax liability. Most countries will allow you to have a tax holiday for several years, or they will say, well, if you're paying taxes in another country, you're not liable for taxes here. Look at what is available for you and talk to a tax lawyer in your country. If you're from the States, speak to a good lawyer and find out what the tax rules are. You can also get in touch with us and we'll help you, advise you on this process and how it can be in benefit to you. And also, get this. Have you ever thought about the concept of choosing your life? Recently I was reading about a gentleman who was overweight and broke. And one day he decided he was going to be slim and wealthy and wealthy. Simple as that. All he did was make a decision that now he was going to be wealthy and now he was going to be fit. And this was a man who was struggling with finances for most of his adult life and also was quite overweight. About 250 pounds, if not heavier. He wrote something to the effect that one day, he decided, I'm going to be slim, and I'm going to be wealthy. Then about within a year of making that decision, he was fit. He was no longer overweight, and he was in very good shape. And indeed, he was wealthy. He had created an online business, and he was succeeding. He had built a very successful online revenue while working fewer hours and could also stay slim and fit. So, I thought to myself, well, how can this be? Anybody could decide to be healthy and wealthy, and who wouldn't make that decision? Right? If I had to decide between being healthy and fit or being overweight, I definitely choose to be healthy and fit. Or if I had to choose between being broke or being wealthy, I'd choose to be wealthy. So part of me was not fully buying into this concept. Surely, it could not be as simple as that. And the truth of the matter is technical. It is that simple. The only difference is you have to make a choice consistently. The day that you're going to be healthy and wealthy, and then you're magically healthy and wealthy the next day. No, you make that decision. You stick with it. Every decision you make is aimed toward that overriding goal. Then, within 6 to 12 months, lo and behold, you are healthy and wealthy, so it's not in that first decision where the magic happens, although technically, if you understand what is your goal, all of your decisions are going to be easy for the next 12 months. Then it is that simple. Choices can improve your life. Diet. Let us take diet as an example. Or health and fitness. If you decide today that you're going to create a very healthy diet and stick with it for the next year or 2 years, or even better for the rest of your life, then you devise a fitness plan and you stick with it as well. Then that decision today and every micro decision following suit for the next 12 months will create a healthy and fit version of yourself. So I thought to myself, and then I bought into this concept that yes, we can decide today. That will positively affect us for the rest of our life. As well, we could make a decision that could negatively affect us. The decisions we make today are critical. If you think about your diet, the decisions we make about our diet are critical for our health and fitness. When you have to decide between eating a bag of chips or a box of cookies, it would be far healthier to choose an orange or an apple. If you can follow this logic where you make decisions all the way going forward, that ties you into your goal, then you will have success and you will be able to lose weight. Started to gain weight. Take me as an example. I can say that about a year ago, I started to gain a few extra kilos, and then I moved to another country and I gained even that much more kilos. Lo and behold, within 5 to 6 months, I had gained about 15 to 20 pounds. And the bulk of it was I just let my diet go. Perhaps, I was under stress. Perhaps I didn't know what I should be eating at that time, or just didn't have the time to figure out what are the best ways to eat and how to maintain my diet. But after gaining about 20 pounds and realizing that I went from pretty healthy and pretty fit to now definitely on the unhealthy side, I decided that I had to lose about 15 to 20 pounds and do it pretty soon. I realized right off the start that 90% of the effort is going to come from my diet. Yes, 10% will come from exercise or 20% from exercise, but the bulk of my results will be from correcting a diet. And the great thing about correcting a diet is generally would not mean adding that much more time. Because you're eating healthier. It might take a little longer to prepare the foods, but this is a very small amount of time. Hence, I realized by making the right choices in the kitchen, I can have great results without having to spend 3 or 4 hours at the gym. I did not ignore the gym, but what I did was I'm going to work out at home and I'm going to work out 3 to 4 times a week. maybe about half an hour each time. So for an additional 2 hours of working out a week and very little cardio, I should do some more cardio, so that's on my to-do list. But most importantly, I am going to focus on creating a good eating habits. One of the other things I incorporated into the mix was redoing my intermittent fasting. I would start my first meal at noon and I would have my last meal at 8 p.m. though the rest of the time I was fasting. So my eating window was from 12 p.m. to 8 p.m., an 8-hour window, and my fasting window off was from 8 p.m. till noon the next day. And this worked very well. I did not have any hunger issues. I've been doing intermittent fasting for years.